Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here with Foundry's Gary Jones. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, Randy. Pleasure to be here.
Same here. So we're here to talk about, IBC season. Trade shows have been a little wonky since COVID, so we're covering things in different ways, and this is one of the ways that we're doing it. So wanted to get you on Zoom and talk to you a little bit about VFX trends, how the Foundry has been handling VFX in the COVID world, and where you'll be going. So why don't we just dig in?
Sure, sounds great. Yeah, it's an interesting time to be developing software and providing things. The main thing that seems to have changed a little bit, and this probably isn't that much of a change, but there's definitely seems to be an increase in demand for content. This seemed to be driven by a mixture of the streaming giants now competing, generating more and more content, trying to outcompete each other. So there's an awful lot of work out there. A lot of our customers are generating a lot of exciting and fun pieces of visuals for all of our customers and for the various consumers out there. And that's probably also driven a bit by COVID as well. If you think that more and more people aren't going to the cinema, they're trying to get their fix some other way. So much easier nowadays to get just turn on the TV and work out what you want to watch. And the quality bar seems to be getting higher. So it's about servicing that, right? It's about making sure that what we're building in Foundry is helping our customers to be able to deliver on that scale and complexity and just sheer volume that they're having to produce now.
So how does that relate back to the tools that you guys are offering? I know that there has been some updates with Katana and Nuke. Can you go over a bit of that?
Sure, no problem. So my remit is mostly on the Katana side. And one of the things that has been a trend, not just over the last 12 months, but obviously a continuing trend before that, is the need to do more, to do it quicker, and to do it at scale. Katana itself was originally developed at Sony over 10 years ago now, and it came out of the need for them in-house to deliver bigger and bigger shows. The idea of what you see in the cinema now in terms of compared to maybe what you would have seen in the cinema 15, 20 years ago, just the amount of visual things that you have to cope with in a VFX world has got more and more and more complex, more and more explosions, more and more characters, more and more animation. The tools that were around at that time weren't able to service that, not to the kind of scale that Katana was envisioned to be able to do. And that trend's just got more and more and more. And now it's not just about being able to cope with so much in one shot. It's about just the number of shots they have to get through. If you counted up the number of visual effects shots in your average film 20 years ago compared to the number of visual effects shots that you might want to do nowadays, that would be through the roof. And that's not even counting some of the shows that I've worked on personally, like Jungle Book, where almost every shot would have been a VFX every shot. So yeah, it's about servicing more and more VFX shots with less and less resources or less and less time, or and also just the scale and the complexity of those shots as well. So it really is about that, servicing more scale, servicing more throughput needed, so you can actually meet these new needs.
Okay. Well, so I know that one big thing that you guys have been focusing on is digital cinematography and lighting and the importance of lighting in creating these VFX shots. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I think you only have to. The tools that the artists want to use want to enable them to work closer to the image, right? Close to the final image. They want to see what they're actually working on. We're not in the days of the original Pixar films where you're sitting there and you're making some change to a number and then you're seeing what it looks like at a later date. They almost want to be literally painting with light, moving around the manipulators while looking at the image. And that's only something that we can do more recently because of what the technology can now do. You can get faster and faster iterations of that image, just because the technology is better, GPUs are stronger, the render engines are much better quality. So it's about giving them those tools that they can just literally get into the flow of working with the image and not have to think about, okay, so I want to move this light, I want to move it in this direction, let me change this number. It's just about, right, a little bit of extra illumination here, a little bit more of a shadow there. So you're composing the image without really thinking about how you're doing it. And that's what the digital cinematography platform is all really about. That was a major driving force behind Katana 4, and it's something that we're going to carry on delivering inside Katana moving forward.
Gary, can you give us a little taste of what's coming up with Katana, what people could expect?
Sure, no problem. So we've got two main features that I'd like to call out. There's a lot more, but I'll give you the highlights. We've got something called Katana to Nuke interoperability, which basically means we have traditionally had a fantastic offering with Nuke, which is the core workflow for doing compositing in the industry. And we have the tool that I'm kind of responsible for, which is Katana, which is responsible for look development and lighting. And these two are quite close in the pipeline in terms of where you might be using it. You tend to deliver images out of Katana to send them over to Nuke. But what we're doing this year is enabling that to happen much more seamlessly by enabling you to stream things from Katana directly into Nuke and to have them from Nuke go back into Katana. So that it really is all about removing that friction that could potentially have happened previously between different departments and different artists, and just streamlining the workflow. The other thing that we're also doing, and it kind of harkens back to this idea of dealing with scale that we were talking about earlier on, and that's we're delivering something called Foresight Plus. And what that actually means is our Foresight system is the ability to have lots of renders going at the same time, not necessarily just on your own machine, but they could also be rendering on your farm, but streaming the images back to Katana. So Katana's super strength is this ability to have one project, one template that your artist is working on, and it can work on lots of shots, all in a single sequence, or potentially even across an entire show. And with this new Foresight system, not only can you work on it, you can see images streaming back on what your changes are actually doing. So you can bring the bar up on across an entire sequence at the same time and see what it looks like just by having those renders going on the farm. So really, really exciting to see what our customers can actually do with that.
Okay. Well, before I let you go, I think we have to talk about virtual production and what's been going on in the world. So how is that helping? How are you guys working within virtual production with your tools?
So we recently are in the process, in fact, of delivering something new, which is called the Unreal Reader inside Nuke, and that's going to be in Nuke 13.1. And that enables you to have live compositing of things that are coming from Unreal, which is currently one of the tools of preference on a virtual production stage. We think it's a really, really exciting area of work, and it's going to be a bit of a watch this space for what we're going to be delivering on this going forward. But this is kind of our first step about delivering tools whereby you can do live compositing in a virtual production world and get some of our tools closer and closer to being on set. So it's a bit of a watch this space for what we're going to be delivering there going forward.